You can work all day and still feel guilty the moment you stop. You sit down to rest, and within minutes, you start thinking, I should be doing something. This is dose of confidence. And this is why resting doesn't actually feel like rest. Let's break this down. Staying busy feels safe. When you're moving from one task to the next, there is no space to question anything. Everything feels structured, controlled, and predictable. But the moment you stop, there is no structure anymore. Now there is silence. And in that silence, things start to surface. Thoughts you ignored, decisions you delayed, feelings you didn't have time for or didn't even want to deal with. So staying busy isn't always about getting things done. Sometimes it's about avoiding the feelings and thoughts that show up when you're finally not busy. And over time, that could make you associate rest with discomfort. From early on, you're rewarded for doing, being disciplined, being consistent, being productive, and that can turn into a rule. If you're not doing something useful, you're falling behind. Rest becomes something you earn, not something you're allowed to have by default. So even when you stop for a valid reason, it doesn't feel valid because the rule is still there. That rest has to be earned. You tell yourself you rest once everything is done, but everything keeps moving. You finish one thing and immediately think of the next. So there is no real end point because life is happening. So chores and things we need to do will always be there. And so a pattern forms. When you sit down to rest, there is that voice that starts blaming you. You're wasting time. You should be doing more. How can you rest when there is so much to do? It's a repetitive thought that you cannot get rid of. And because rest doesn't show immediate results, it always looks less valuable than doing something visible. So the cycle continues, and that pattern becomes stronger. You work to feel done. You never feel done, so you don't rest. Or you keep feeling guilty when you do rest. At some point, it stops being about tasks. It becomes about who you are. You start to define yourself by this, the reliable one, the productive one, the one who gets things done. And that identity can feel stable and clear. It can trick us into believing that our worth is rooted in being busy. So when you rest, even briefly, it feels like you're stepping out of your identity, like you're not being your true self, that true self you have chosen to be. Taking a break feels like you're becoming someone else, someone less consistent, less disciplined, and of course, that feels uncomfortable. So you go back to what feels familiar, doing and staying busy. Work gives you proof. When you finish something, you see the result and you feel a sense of progress. Rest doesn't give you that. When you sit, you pause and nothing visible changes, so it feels like you didn't do anything. Even though something did happen, you reset, you recovered, you made a space to think clearly again. But because you can't measure it instantly, it feels like it doesn't count, even though it's the thing that keeps you going and gives you the energy to do more. Not all stillness is the same. Sometimes you stop because you don't want to deal with something. That's avoidance. But sometimes you stop because continuing would only make things worse, and because you need that pause for your physical or mental health. That's rest. The problem is when guilt is always present, you can't really tell the difference between these two. Everything starts to feel like avoidance, even when it isn't. So instead of resting when you need to, you push through, and the quality of everything starts to drop. And more importantly, you start feeling exhausted and burnt out. The point here is not to force yourself to relax. The point is to understand that rest is not a reward, it's a necessity. It's not something you earn after doing enough. It's the thing that allows you to keep doing your part in life well. So instead of waiting until you feel exhausted, give your day a clear endpoint and treat rest as part of your day structure, not something outside of it. And hopefully, with time, the feeling that you need to earn your rest would fade away. That guilt feeling you get when you rest isn't proof that you're doing something wrong. It's a reflection of rules that were built around constant doing. And once you see that clearly, the guilt starts to lose its grip on you. If this video helped you, feel free to subscribe and share it with someone who might need it. And let me know what other topics you'd like to hear about next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.